Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson Football Channel for your second George Benson Football Channel video of the day, Chelsea news. Finally, we have some big news. We have some genuine Chelsea approaching a player deal sounding as though it might be actually done before we've even had a chance to twist the article, spin it this way, spin it that way, write it in Lebanese, write it in flipping Croatian and whatever other language we want to do, because Chelsea have made an approach for Jules Koundé, and of course Jules Koundé was a target of Tottenham, wanted a bigger club to come in. Chelsea Football Club knock on the door, Jules Koundé is like, you know what? That sounds like a good idea to me. Contract till June 2026, you say? 5 years at Chelsea Football Club, champions of Europe. I like the sound of this, as do Sevilla, and potentially as does Kurt Zouma. We're going to be talking about this today in a lot of detail, or more detail than we ever have before, and we're also going to discuss the Erling Haaland interview that is being perceived generally as a super high negative for Chelsea Football Club. I'm going to give you the GBFC angle as to why I actually think it was a very positive interview in a Chelsea sense that we saw with Erling Haaland yesterday. So, let's get news story number one out of the way first. We've got ourselves, by the looks of things, a new third choice goalkeeper. He goes by the name of Marcus Bettinelli. He's been a target as a third choice goalkeeper before for Chelsea FC, and it looks as though he's going to join. And the one thing I will say about this one is third choice goalkeeper. We're probably not going to see this guy play in a Chelsea shirt on too frequent of a basis. However, if he can be the kind of personality in the dressing room that Willy Caballero certainly was, then he is the third choice goalkeeper that I am happy with. He's actually a very good keeper, to be honest. I belittle the role that he plays, but he's actually a very decent backup indeed. So let's now talk about the Jules Koundé story from Sevilla. Chelsea have gone in and supposedly, as is very rarely an issue for Chelsea, personal terms, not a problem. Jules Koundé's open to the move. Chelsea really want the move. He's seen as Thomas Tuchel's number one centre-back target this summer, and Sevilla are also open for the sale. The money isn't that crazy either, and he's only 22 years old, and the key part that is currently being hashed out between both player parties, Chelsea and Sevilla, is that Sevilla are interested in Kurt Zouma as part of the deal. Supposedly, Zouma, his head was turned by interest from Spurs. Obviously, Spurs went after Jules Koundé. He declined them because they're not a big enough or a good enough football club. Pretty safe and standard stuff. You just know that with Willian leaving, we needed to do the kind of not as extreme as Willian, but we needed to like shove Spurs under the rug again. So we go in for their top target, and of course, he wants to join Chelsea. The interesting thing about the Zouma part of the deal is that Kurt Zouma is pretty obviously Chelsea's fourth choice centre-back, and I personally believe that Kurt Zouma is too good of a centre-back to be playing minimal football, whether he's at a club like Chelsea or therefore has to go down and downgrade to a slightly less bigger club, but so that he can actually fulfil his potential on the pitch as a football player. A move to Sevilla, I think, is a very good move for Kurt Zouma. At Chelsea, even though he was one of our top scorers in the Premier League last season, which is still an incredibly daft thing to think about, but it's actually true. We managed to actually do the job without any worries whatsoever with Kurt Zouma scoring the goals. Now we're going to get rid of him. Kurt Zouma, defensively, as good as he is in the air, which ironically is actually one of Jules Koundé's worst traits because he's only 5'10", Kurt Zouma's 6+, and he's winning everything in the air every single day of the week. We've obviously got Rudiger, who's now come in the side and is doing that. Christensen's getting better and better, and Thiago Silva's Thiago Silva. So Zouma's still fourth in the pecking order. Jules Koundé comes in at 22 years old, very, very good in possession-based sides, and obviously under Thomas Tuchel, Chelsea are looking to dominate the ball as much as we possibly can. And with Koundé being able to play at the right side of the centre-back position as his preferred role in that back line, the way I see this going is it could well be the signing to obviously replace Zouma as a backup, in which case, if that is what Koundé's being brought in to be, then obviously if he's already accepted Chelsea's personal terms, he'll know that his position in this squad is prove yourself so that you belong in the team over an Aspi, Christensen or a Rudiger, or a Thiago Silva. So really, it could be 4th or 5th, whichever way you want to look at it. With Azpilicueta getting older, I know he's obviously a Champions League winning captain for Chelsea, but Chelsea will know that they need to be looking at younger players who can come in and fill in for Azpilicueta on a more consistent basis as Azpi does get older and unable to be playing Premier League, Champions League every 3 or 4 days. So Jules Koundé as a right centre-back is his preferred position. And I do believe if this signing goes through the way it's looking like it's going to, it's going to be interesting how long it takes for Koundé to break in ahead of an Azpilicueta. Or will it be in the centre, Thiago Silva dropping out, but Christensen's been so good. Rudiger's got that left centre-back spot nailed down. It's an interesting signing because when we look at what Koundé does very well, he has very solid defensive stats, which obviously that's not a surprise when Chelsea want to buy a defender. They're not going to buy someone who's just been underperforming and is a useless pile of whatever. Koundé isn't that. He's a very, very decent centre-half. He's a strong lad, despite the size of him in terms of height, 5'10" for a centre-back, isn't great. And Football Yannick actually posted something, 21% of his aerial duels were lost, which is about 1 in 5. Well, it's pretty much 1 in 5 aerial duels that he loses, which, again, when you've got big centre-backs around you, his job is going to be that guy that plays out from the back. And I think maybe that could suggest that he's coming in for Christensen or Thiago Silva's place, and one of them has to move over and challenge Azpi in the right centre-back role. Very interesting one, this one. That was an interesting sneeze. Damn. Oh, get my mask. I think he's a very good player. I think he's only going to get better. So I think this is actually a good move. There are a lot of people that are questioning the sale of Tomori, the sale of Marc Guéhi, and then we go and buy someone of a similar age when we already had someone like that at the club. I think Marc Guéhi, the sale of Marc Guéhi is for the player. Marc Guéhi wants to be guaranteed to be playing minutes more often to develop his career. Tomori wasn't a Thomas Tuchel sale, so people can't be peed off that Thomas Tuchel has got rid of Tomori and then decided to go in for Jules Koundé, because the Tomori deal was something that was pretty much lined up before Thomas Tuchel even took over. So I don't want to address that negativity anymore. I'm going to move on to the Erling Haaland story. And the reason I'm documenting it again is because I told you guys, I got bored of keeping my mouth shut about Haaland because I'm getting hyped for the new season. And if that is all we still got to talk about, then I want to chat to you guys about something. But Erling Haaland was interviewed personally, so we're not just like getting ideas anymore. We've got quotes from the horse's mouth from Mr. Erling Haaland. And of course, he was asked about the rumours that are circulating about Chelsea coming in for him, the incredibly high price that is being labelled as Erling Haaland's price tag if Chelsea wish to make this happen. And Erling Haaland, in classic footballing fashion, doesn't allude to anything, doesn't give any emotional opinion to waver the idea left or right in terms of happening, not happening. And he basically does an Erling Haaland thing, which I'm going to interject here away from the psychology of why I actually think this is a positive interview for Chelsea fans to watch. And Erling Haaland as a character. One of the reasons I really love Erling Haaland as a striker, other than the obvious things in football, which are goals equals wins equals trophies, goal scorers, yeah, you know where I'm going with that one. But Erling Haaland's... blimey, let's go again with that one, shall we? Erling Haaland's confidence as a young man is what I really, really like about him. I think he's got that... He knows he's very, very good, and he doesn't want to be overtly arrogant to the point where it's like, okay, you've had a couple of good seasons, but now you're going to look like a right prat if all of a sudden your career goes down. He does it in a way that is very subtle, it's very managed, and it isn't exuberant to the point of like, look at this guy, I think Mbappe is further on that spectrum where he actually does and says things where I don't think he's quite yet in a position to be that arrogant. And I think Haaland and Mbappe are very similar for many different reasons. And I think one of those reasons is obviously because people are looking at these two players to carry the footballing mantle away from Ronaldo and Messi when they retire. And obviously the goal scoring records, the undoubted ability that they have. This arrogance and confidence is where I see the footballing narrative of the big names competing against one another going. And I think Haaland and Mbappe might not ever reach the heights of Messi and Ronaldo, but it will certainly be a comparative story in itself. Now then, going back to the confidence that we see from Erling Haaland. When he's asked a question that could be very easy to slip up on, He could just sit there with a very plain face, stare straight down the lens of the camera, and give like diplomatic words that don't actually answer the question, but just divert away so that he doesn't give anything away. The interesting thing about what Erling Haaland said to me is that he played down the value in which is being quoted for him. The dog is actually watching me record this video. This is a wonderful moment. Check this out. Look at him. He's just sat there mongoloiding around on the couch. So Erling Haaland says, I can't believe someone would spend that kind of money on me. Words to that effect. I didn't just quote that directly. Mason, it's okay, bro. Don't worry. I'll be done soon. But we're talking about Haaland to Chelsea. It's a big deal, okay? And it's going to happen. We both know that. Anyway, the way he answers it, he's kind of looking up and down, smiling, knowing that the question is coming. And then it's like when you play down that kind of thing, dog, what are you doing? Brew, come here, eh? When you play down this kind of thing, what it's basically doing is saying to me that he's looking at Chelsea as if to say, well, no one's really worth this. I'm not worth this, but I really appreciate it when somebody values me this highly. And if Dortmund are willing to let me go, then I think this is actually something that I'm going to go ahead and do. Mason, what do you think, bro? Is Haaland coming to Chelsea? Is he coming? Give us a little yawn or something. Yeah, mate, he's coming. He's on the way, boys and girls. Don't worry about it. And again, I think a lot can be said in an interview for when somebody plays down this reported value, knowing damn well Chelsea can do it. And then if Chelsea do go ahead and make this bid and Borussia Dortmund accept, I think it's basically the player's way of showing respect to any club that would go out of their way to spend that kind of money on him. So I wouldn't be too worried about this, guys, to be honest. I don't think there's really anything that turns this one away from Chelsea's favour at this point. I do think this is black and white as it always has been, in the sense of if Chelsea make this astronomical bid, I believe Borussia Dortmund will cave. And I don't think that Haaland wanting to join Chelsea will be a problem. Stand by that. Don't think this interview is anything to worry about as such. We just need to wait for Chelsea to actually do something in terms of submitting the bid. This is a very nice moment, by the way. He's very engrossed in the videos, is Mr. Mason over here, the doggo. But anyway, going to wrap up this video for you guys here. If you did enjoy this Chelsea news video, please hit the like button on today's video. And as I said at the beginning, if you haven't seen the 6 Things We Learnt video that was posted earlier from the pre-season friendly win at Bournemouth, then you guys should definitely go and give it a watch. Thank you guys for watching. Chelsea, the champions of Europe. Koundé looks like he's on the way. Zuma could be on the way out. And Haaland is just being Haaland on interviews. And Chelsea need to make a bid. Thank you guys for watching. See you all later. Come on, you Blues.